Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today, I'd like to talk to you guys about the state of the games industry in 2023 and the opportunities that are rising from changes going on that I've witnessed that I would like to share with you guys to give you guys hope that there is a space and need for you guys as an animator in the games industry. And I think that a lot of the times it feels very much like all the jobs are taken and there's too much competition, and what am I to do with myself? Because even if I have talent, I might not be able to get a job. And I want to kind of like break away from those ideas, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now that I think is going to be absolutely wonderful for you guys in the future. So let's do it. Okay, so welcome. My name is Harvey Newman, and I have been in the games industry for over 20 years. I can't believe it. It feels like I just started yesterday, but now I'm this veteran person that has worked in many games, mostly AAA games, over the years. Now, I have seen a lot of animators, my students, people that I've talked to, people on my Discord server that are talking about how it feels like the market has too many animators now, and how it feels like there's not enough opportunity out there for animators to tackle their jobs and have a first opportunity and all that stuff. And I have to say that in comparison to when I started, the competition now it's bigger than ever. There's more animators than ever because it's much more accessible, right? When I started, there was only books. There was mainly maybe one or two video classes that you could attend. Shout out to Keith Lango. He was the very first one that I watched, and Jason Ryan was the second one that I watched. And those are the two things that you could do. And shortly after, there was Animation Mentor, and then after that, there was I Animate. And then basically YouTube came along, YouTubers like myself, and then we started actually kind of like exploding in terms of like knowledge and what you can do and tutorials and things like that. And it feels very much like too much information, too little jobs, and then lots of animators, right? But I'm here to tell you that the way the industry is going right now is absolutely the best time for you guys to jump in and basically start your careers in animation. And there's a few things going on that basically open doors for a lot of people. And I don't think that content or content creators like ourselves, animators, are going away anytime soon. And there's always going to be more opportunity out there. When I started, games were smaller in comparison to film and VFX, right? And it kind of felt like if you wanted to get into film, there was so many people who wanted to get in, it was impossible. So games felt like a feasible way for you to start working. This is how I started, right? Eventually, I fell in love with games massively, and now I would not do anything else because I absolutely love it. But now games are huge, right? And everybody wants to be either a gamer or working games and all these other things, or a streamer. And it's great. It's an amazing phenomenon. Super proud to be part of this industry. Now, if you want to be a content creator in terms of being an animator, right, that deliver content for games, there's a bunch of stuff that is happening out there that's going to be really good for you in the future. And now, right? So very first thing that I think that people kind of like have a bad connotation, but I think is going to be good for us, is the Metaverse. I released a video ages ago about how the Metaverse can help you as a content creator, as an animator, and how many opportunities you're going to get out there. So definitely go and watch that video if you haven't so far. The basic idea here is that as more and more people get into this metaverse world, and they start creating companies that create games based on the metaverse and this idea of having a currency and this idea of having assets that you can buy and sell and things like that, animations is definitely absolutely something that these metaverse creators will want to actually have in their games, and will want to have them as an asset that they can actually buy and sell. So you, as an animator, become a really interesting asset to somebody like that, because you can create those animations, especially at a high level, for somebody to look at it and be like, ooh, I want that, right? That is basically what you want. So the better animator you are, and if you actually want to be independent and work for yourself, then I think this new market that is emerging right now about this metaverse companies coming up, I think it's going to be absolutely wonderful for you. Now, the flip side of the coin is that If you actually want to go into AAA, if you actually want to go into this more traditional route of actually starting your career as a AAA developer, right, in games or film or VFX, it's up to you. It used to be that you could only apply to a certain number of AAA developers, and there was only so many developers out there for you to actually apply to. So when they had enough animators, for example, then the doors would basically close, especially because those developers like to keep people in, and they like to keep them for a long time. So for example, I remember perfectly, I was always a fan of DICE, but I knew that it was very difficult to get to DICE as an animator because their animation circle was very much like, this is our core animators, they've been here for many years, and this is it. It stays this way, right? At least when I actually applied the first time. But then at some point, there was an opportunity for one animator, which I applied and I got, which then made me feel incredibly rewarded and special. But things have changed. They're no longer that way. You can apply for DICE nowadays as an animator, and it's good times. And it's not just about DICE, it's generically in the industry. People are starting to understand that AAA is not the only way that you can get into games. And this is really important for you guys to know, because to me, when I started, AAA was everything, and then this is basically what you're aimed at. And I started in a AA type of studio, but my goal was always to go to AAA, right? The games that I was working on was like Ice Age the game, and GeForce the game. Games that basically are meant for kids, but they're not really big time, right? So for me, it was very much about getting into the big leagues and making it big. So that was my experience. But now it feels very much like people understand that AAA is not the only way to go. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, crunch. Crunch is a thing that now is basically a stain on AAA games. And it's not like that for every company, but historically there's been a lot of crunch in a lot of companies, and therefore people had a really bad time personally with their families, etc. So people nowadays are starting to actually kind of like grab onto that idea and going, is this really for me? And it's great because it makes you think about really what you want personally, because it's not for everybody. Now, things are getting better when it comes to crunch. AAA companies have definitely taken that memo about like no crunch at all, and just organize yourselves a little bit better so no one crunches throughout development. So that's great. But at the same time, there are still companies out there that are very much crunch based, right? So you never know what you're gonna get. So the second part of the equation is that smaller studios that are not AAA are almost becoming cooler than AAA games. So studios like Supergiant Games that have created Hades, best game of the year a couple of years ago, studios like Studio MDHR that created Cuphead, they are all studios that have small teams that actually produce these AAA looking games that are way more creative a lot of the times than the AAA games of the world. Ninja Theory is another good example with the Senua series, right? The Hellblade series. Really, really cool games that come out from small teams that are way more creative and nimble than the AAA juggernauts that they have 500 people plus in order to create one game. So I think those two things, between crunch and actually getting this new era of smaller studios that look cooler than AAA studios, are basically getting new animators, new creators, new people coming into the industry to really think really hard, do I want to go this route or do I want to go that route? Right? So it's really, really awesome. Another thing that I want to add to this equation that I think that will give you guys an idea of the opportunities that are coming for you guys out there is that a lot of veteran developers like myself that have been out there and have worked in probably most of the studios that they wanted to work in and feel good and have experience, they are starting their own game studios. They are veering off and going like, I want to start my own game studio. But I know from experience that the studio that they want to start is definitely with the idea that it's going to be a culture first type of studio, right? It's never going to be a studio that I want to make this studio the biggest possible, have 500 people and then make a AAA game. It's more of the idea that I've seen how that works. And what I want is creativity, and therefore I want to build my own team that is kind of small, but we are making big things, but everybody has a voice and creativity and all this good stuff. Now, this is absolutely amazing for everybody coming through right now in the industry, because if you get one of these gigs that you are part of a team that is small, you will have the most creativity possible. So go and check an interview that I've done with an animator from supermassive studios that have worked on Hades, and he was telling me how much creativity he had in the team because he was the only animator working on Hades. Now, being the only animator working on Hades is a huge responsibility, but if a game comes out and is as good as Hades and gets Game of the Year and everybody's talking about your animations, then you are going to be seen as an amazing, epic animator, right? Another animator that comes to mind as well is Kevin Roger, the animation director for Sifu, and he had a smaller team, not a huge team, a small team working on Sifu, and you can see the results of that game through and through. Everybody's talking about the animations of that game. Even people that are not so interested, they are really amazed about the quality of the animations. And Kevin is relatively new to the industry, but he has done an absolutely epic work. And I'll definitely leave a link to his Twitter down below, because you should definitely follow him, because he's up to amazing things. So, this is basically the opportunities that you have right now out there for you as a young animator. There's plenty studios out there that want your talent. Between the Metaverse, between this new era of veteran people actually founding new studios, and also you having the possibility of going into AAA gaming, you have more options now than ever, right? So even though the competition was not as much when I started, like 21, 22 years ago, now you have more competition, but you also have many more opportunities. And I think things kind of balance themselves out, right? So make sure that you never feel like this is a race. Make sure that you spend your time really making sure that you hone your skills, that you become the best animator possible with the most creative animation possible, because you will eventually find that job, or that job will find you one way or the other. Because one thing that is for sure, people that are talented, people that are skillful, they will always find a job doing things that they love, right? It's all about the skills. It's not about just making animations, but making sure that you have the most skills and be the best person possible. If you have those two things, you'll be very successful in this industry or any other that you put your head into, right? So I hope this video was useful to you. If it was in any ways, consider subscribing, hit the like button, comment down below with your thoughts about this. If you are struggling right now to get a job, definitely comment down below. I will answer to you, giving you some advice. And that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Shout out to my Patreons for supporting me every month. And go and check us out on Discord for more conversations like this that hopefully expand your mind as an animator and make you feel a little bit better. That's all I had. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Until next week, stay well, stay safe. Peace.